Hey, yo, what's good, people? So I've been getting a ton of requests to show you guys my full songwriting process, and I thought it would be a really good way to get into how my full song template file works and, just the workflow that I use in my everyday production. So just as a little pre-warning, this is just going to be a real-time production video. So, it's going to get repetitive and obviously as a producer you know how the workflow goes, but the whole idea is for me to give you like a in-depth explanation of all the steps that I do. Also, I'm gonna have to draw in all these notes because my computer's just not handling, there's too much latency when I try to use my keyboard, so the process is a little bit slower than I normally go. I can do things really fast just using my keyboard controller rather than drawing in these notes like this. So let's just make a little drum pattern. All right, so we'll just make it simple, beat like that, and repeat it so we don't take too much time with this. If you guys can see, let's see here. My kick drum is split into two pads. The bottom pad I use a filter to cut out all the high frequencies, so it just becomes my sub kick. You can see I'm adjusting it here to just bring out the lows in the sub. And then I add a little bit of compression with a longer attack on that. And you can see it's linked up top to this other one, which will then be my top kick, or more like I consider it like the pedal hitting the drum head. So that one is filtered with a high pass so that none of the bass frequencies get through. Turn that down a little bit to equalize them. And then I also compress that, but with a faster attack. That's just my method of stacking my kick drum. So I'm gonna add another layer to make this pedal a little bit more unique. And then I'm going to tighten up the decay on that just so there's not so much holdout on the note. It's just a way for me to fit a little bit more room for the bass that's going to go in there eventually. So it's just shortening up the length of the kick so it kind of frees up some space. And so now I'm just looking for a little bit of a different sound to put on top of the kick pedal. I like that. Alright, so let's make a sampler for the rim shot. And down in my timeline, I'm going to pick my snares channel and let's draw some of these notes in. I really wish I had a keyboard to do this. Alright, so let's copy those notes across and just make this little simple beat. And then let's stack another sample on top of that. And drop that one in volume. And this is just cutting out the bass frequency so it doesn't interfere with my sub kick. And I'm going to add a little bit of transient to it. Dial it in. Okay, cool. So let's move on to a clap. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm gonna go over here to my drum submix channel and just add a little bit of dynamics to glue this drum set together. Okay, now let's clean up the EQ of this kick a little bit. This is the sub kick that I'm working on. Find that big ringing note. And then dial it back. So when I'm EQing something, I usually go a little bit overboard and then dial it back just so I can hear when the feeling's back into the sound. And let's shorten that up a little bit more just so we don't get as much of a ring out and we leave some room for the bass later. Alright, so I'm just dialing in the sound of this pedal a little bit more. And then let's go, this is the kick pedal. So we'll adjust the EQ on that. And we're rolling off some of the bass. Now let's find where it rings. And dial it back again. All right, let's go and add a snare. Alright, so now we got a simple snare pattern in there. And now I'm going to set these to two different channels in my regroove mixer. And the snares, let's say I'll pull the claps a little bit forward in time and the snares a little bit back, and that you can hear it added that extra snap. It really just pulls the two sounds apart so you get a distinct time delay on the two of them. It makes it sound a little bit more live, and it really helps that snare snap hard. So that's a good trick, use that one. So let's find like an open hi-hat to do an accent. And go draw in a couple notes. Okay, let's find where we want these to go. That sounds good. Make a couple more. I'm going to put a high pass filter on that to get some of the muddiness out of the bottom of them. And let's add some transients to that. So what I just did was give a little bit stronger of an attack to that hi-hat and shortened up the decay of it, so it's a little bit of a shorter sample, a tighter hit up front. Okay, now let's adjust the EQ settings on that hat. Even though we already did this, I just tend to do it again to make sure all those frequencies are out of there. So again, we're just making a little bit of room for other instruments, getting rid of some of the frequencies you really can't hear or don't want to hear in these sounds. And then we find out where it rings. And that's a ring I want to get rid of specifically. Alright, so we cleaned that up pretty nicely. And so let's move on to some melody. I'm going to go over to my synth lead. It's down here at the bottom in my timeline. And let's play around with it. Again, this is one of those things I always do with my keyboard, so drawing out these notes is torture for me. Alright, let's set this to bar and then just copy them out for the loop. And I usually just put in a basic sine wave or like a square wave or something like that that's already preset in my template. I get my notes in and then I go in and start looking for patches or building my own custom sound, however. So this one, I think I'm just going to stick to patches to try to keep this video a little shorter than it would be. Oh, like that. Sounds big. Alright, let's add another layer to that. I'll turn on the portamento so we get a little bit of sliding happening between these notes. Okay, I think we can work with that. And then let's repeat it down here. Cool. Now in here I'm gonna go look for an effect patch. Let's just put a device in here and build our own. Alright, so let's go in here and add some bass notes. Alright, so now let's go and copy that over to the sub bass. I gotta get this right. This is one of those things that a keyboard just speeds up so much, so sorry about that. Alright, so we made a duplicate of that. Alright, so what next? Maybe let's check our settings here. Add in my master. It's a four band compression, and I'll turn on my SSL compressor just to glue everything together here. I want it just barely bouncing, so you can see how it's barely moving there. I'll drop my master just so we're not clipping anything out. And then that's my the PEF mid-side processing unit. It's awesome. Look it up online. And the saturator knob from Softube. Pull that back a little bit. And a final limiter. And let's see if we can find a different bass patch for that. Okay, so let's go add another melody in here. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and loop that for the 9 bars. And let's see, we'll play it back. Add a portamento. And let's tweak some of these settings. Cool. Let's see what else we can do here. I'll put one of my signature build synths that I've put together. And I've designed this synth to just be a 1-note rise, so I just hit whatever key my song is in on the keyboard and it does the build up for me. Okay, cool. Any other tweaks we need to make? Let's see, I don't know if I can even fit an 808 in here, but we'll try to. Let's turn on some of these congas, that'll give us a little bit more groove. Now these are something that's pre-programmed into my template, and you can see I just turned on the machines and they're just going. I have a couple different settings so you can change like the flow of the drums and like the pattern of them and stuff, but this is one of the things that's just included in my song template, which you can get at indiebarts.net/shop. indiebarts.net/shop. And you can get that for $1.99. So pick it up if you like how this workflow is set up. Okay, so now we got a little groove. Let's find, we'll put in the shaker that is set up kind of the same way. Automatically puts in a shaker pattern that you can adjust. And let's see if we can add something to this synthesizer channel. Spread it out. Cool. And we'll do something to adjust this bass. Go in my dynamics. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this one here. I'm gonna spread this one out too. Okay, let's go a different method. So again, I overdo the effect and then pull it back to where it sounds right. Just tune my ears to know exactly what I'm listening for. Alright, now this is one of my favorite tricks recently. I add this dual LFO to the pan CV of my mixer channel. And now you can hear how I get an auto pan happening. Okay, cool. Clean it up a little bit and let's see what we can do down here. Alright, so I'm just getting rid of these tracks that I'm not using to save on my processor speed and stuff like that. I put all the tracks in there originally to start off my song because I don't know exactly what I'm going to use, but those are the elements that I go to most often. So once I'm done producing, I just clean up the tracks that aren't being used and make it all run as quick as possible. So that's pretty much it. From here I would go in and start sequencing the whole track out. On average, with this template, it takes me like 2 hours about to write a whole beat. But, hopefully that wasn't too painful for you guys to hear all that repetitive bullshit. But, people have been asking for it, and hopefully that is what you guys have been looking for. So keep up to date and check back with me for more. So, peace, guys.